Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's Masterclass training called How to Make 6 and 7 Figures in 2021 Using Joint Ventures. This is my Joint Venture Masterclass, and we're doing a simultaneous broadcast today as an experiment. We're doing the webinar online. At the same time, we're streaming the audio on Clubhouse. So this is going to be quite an interesting experiment. Now, for those of you who have joined me on the online webinar, there will be an opportunity for you guys to ask questions. So just put your questions in the chat box, comment box throughout the training, and we'll do a short Q&A at the end. For those of you on Clubhouse, if we have time, I'll also open up for a Q&A for you guys on Clubhouse to ask any questions based on the training. Right, cool. So let's get started. Okay, first of all, a bit about myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sahel Khan. I'm one of the world's top joint venture experts. I've achieved over $100 million using just joint venture partnerships. I'm also an international speaker. I normally charge $15,000 for a keynote. I'm also the only Brit ever to be invited to speak about joint ventures and strategic alliances and partnerships in the US. I'm also the creator of brokeringbootcamp.com, which is my main program that I've been running before COVID. I'm also the author of Guerrilla Marketing and Joint Ventures with the late J. Conrad Levinson. I also charge normally $30,000 a day for joint venture consulting when I was doing consulting in the corporate space, and I'll tell you more about that. And I recently sold my main JV consulting business for 8 figures in 2017. So here's what I'm going to be covering today on this training. First of all, the real power of joint ventures. I'm going to be talking about why I still believe today joint ventures are the most amazing marketing strategy you can use for your business and to scale, to grow, and even to start your business. I'm also going to be talking about the benefits of being a joint venture broker. This is something that I do, and I train certified joint venture brokers all around the world. I'll also dig more deeply into what is known as the joint venture mindset and how the joint venture mindset actually works. I'll also be taking you through 7 ways to double your business using joint ventures. I'll show you the 7 different ways that you can use to basically not only double, but also scale your existing business. I'll also talk about what I call super joint venture networking. I'll show you basically how I've used networking, my high-level connecting skills to connect with millionaires, billionaires, and thought leaders. So I'll take you step by step exactly how I've done that. And also, for those of you on the live webinar, if you stay until the end, there is a bonus. You can get a copy of my free 7-figure joint venture agreement templates bundle, which I'll be giving out to you guys if you stay to the end of the webinar. And the webinar system that we're using, we'll be able to track that, and we'll be able to show you exactly what you're doing at the end of the webinar. We'll be able to get those stats, so we'll be able to see exactly who stayed to the end of the webinar to be able to get that bonus. And as you've registered for the webinar, for those of you guys watching online, you will get a copy of that because you've already submitted your details. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, the world's most powerful business strategy. Now, first of all, what is a joint venture? People ask me, okay, Sahel, explain what a joint venture is. Now, a joint venture is basically an arrangement of mutual benefit between 2 or more people or businesses who have complementary resources. So you're probably asking me, what does that mean? If you have a company that has a luxury bathroom suite and a luxury bathroom, and another company that does luxury bathroom tiles, they both see each other as competitors because they think they compete with each other in the market, but actually they share the same customer base. So the complementary resource that they have is they share the same customer base, but they're not competing. So there's an opportunity for these 2 companies to get together and form a strategic alliance or a joint venture. But most of the times it doesn't happen because most companies see competition. Basically, they see collaboration as competition. Okay, I call it more co-opetition. Even working with your competitors is a benefit. Okay, and that's some of the things that we teach and some of the things that we do when we work with companies. Now, when there's more than 2 entities or 2 people in that arrangement, the third person is always known as a joint venture broker, and this is obviously what I do. The joint venture broker, their job is to basically put these 2 businesses or these 2 individuals together, create a joint venture partnership, and the way the joint venture broker makes money from it is taking a percentage or a cut of whatever sales or whatever revenue is made from that broker putting that deal together between the two companies, because it's easier for the broker to be the intermediary in the middle to put those deals together. So that's just an explanation of how a joint venture actually works. Also, here's an interesting question. Let's talk about a business's most valuable asset. Now, what would you say when you ask people what is the business's most valuable asset? People will say, okay, it's things like the money, it's the list, it is the customers, but the actual business's most valuable asset is the relationship between the business owner and the customers. This is the most valuable asset that can be leveraged. So the relationship is what we always leverage. When you're doing joint ventures and you're doing joint venture partnerships, you need to focus on building rapport and a relationship and leveraging that relationship. And here's where it really comes into fruition, because when a business is sold, that asset is basically valued on the balance sheet, and it's called goodwill, which is basically the relationship that is created between that business and its customers. But here's also another interesting statistic. It costs 6 times as much to sell to a new buyer. So basically, it costs 6 times as much to acquire a new buyer. So everyone talks about lead generation, about customer acquisition. Customer acquisition is very expensive. If you're going out there and you're spending money on generating leads, whether it's pay-per-click or whether it's paid lead gen, it's very expensive. So it basically costs 6 times as much to basically acquire a new customer and also sell to that new customer. But here's an interesting thing. Once you've acquired that customer and you've sold to that customer again, it's now pure profit. Okay? But here's the most amazing thing. If you use somebody else's list or somebody else's database to acquire those customers, it costs you nothing up front. So the actual acquisition cost of acquiring a customer by using somebody else's database is actually zero. So this is the beauty of joint ventures and joint venture partnerships. This is why we love doing joint ventures, because there is no upfront acquisition cost at all. So a lot of people say, oh, I don't have the money, we don't have the funds, it's a catch-22, we want to grow, but we don't have the funds for marketing. But hey, we want to go out and we want to get investment. What's that investment going to be used for? Oh, we need investment for marketing because we need to market the product and make more sales. Well, you don't have to do that. You can just go and find a complementary company that has a similar database to you and build a relationship and rapport with them, get them to endorse your product or service to their customer list, and let them do the marketing and selling for you, because the acquisition cost upfront is zero. It's not costing you anything at all. This is why I love doing strategic partnerships. This is why I'm a big advocate of joint ventures. And for those of you who have just joined us on Clubhouse, this is the Joint Venture Masterclass. We're actually running this class right now live online as a webinar, and we're streaming the audio at the same time on Clubhouse. So this is an experiment. We're actually doing a simultaneous broadcast on Clubhouse at the same time that we're doing a webinar online. So I hope you guys are enjoying the content so far. So this is basically the power of joint ventures. Okay, and here's the thing. More of the profit is yours because there's no advertising costs. So upfront, you're not paying anything. There's no acquisition cost whatsoever. Okay, so this is one of the beauties of and one of the biggest advantages and the biggest leverage point of doing joint venture partnerships. And this is why I love doing it. And this is why I've always done joint venture partnerships. And I'm a big advocate of leverage. Okay, wherever you can find leverage in anything you do, whether it's in life or business, that is something that you really need to learn and you need to master. Okay, leverage. Okay, so let's look at some of the benefits of using joint ventures. So joint ventures also allow you to compensate weak areas in your business without nominal investment. So what does that mean? So for example, let's say if you're a business and you want to scale, but to scale you need equipment, but to scale you need to invest in a new call center, you need to invest in new infrastructure. Well, you can approach another company who already has the existing infrastructure and just basically borrow or use that infrastructure for a percentage or for a revenue share, right? So there's so many ways, so many creative ways you can grow your business without having to think about, we don't have the money to scale, we don't have the money to grow, we don't have the money to buy new assets. Go and find other businesses that have underutilized assets and form a partnership with them where you can actually utilize that that underutilized asset and leverage that and just pay them from the sales. Okay. And now more than ever in the economy that we're in, there are opportunities for you to do that. So don't ever think that it's not possible. Now in the economy that we're in, everyone wants to find a way to make money. Okay. There's a lot of people who have buildings, who have assets that are not making them any money. So it's like, go and have a look and see what you can leverage without having to pay for that asset. You know, you can actually control an asset without actually having to own it or even pay for it. So it's pretty phenomenal what you can do. Also, joint ventures allow you to take advantage of unlimited complementary skills and resources. So what does that mean? Once you've created one joint venture with one company, you can take that same joint venture and go to other companies. You can go to unlimited companies with the same proposition. Hey, we did this partnership deal. We did this strategic partnership with company A, and I believe you know them or they're one of your competitors. And this was the result of that joint venture deal or partnership that we did. Would you guys be open to doing the same? Of course they would, because it's proven and tested. And not only that, similar to Clubhouse, it's FOMO, fear of missing out. Because one of their competitors or someone else in their industry did it and it worked, why would they want to miss out? So this is one of the beauties again of doing joint ventures. Also, it allows you to boost your lead and client generation and profits very quickly. I mean, I'm going to give you some couple of case studies of how we've used joint ventures as a tap to be able to open the tap and get unlimited leads, okay, unlimited leads without any cost up front. This is one of the things I really, really love about doing joint ventures. And another thing also, it allows you great branding potential for free. Doing collaborations with thought leaders, even in Clubhouse, for example, you can see what's happening. Online, you can see what's happening. We're coming into rooms, we're moderating with big names, big thought leaders. That gets you positioned by creating that collaboration or that partnership. That gives you free branding. You're now being branded in the equivalent of other thought leaders. So partnerships are great. You know, I highly recommend if you want to get really, really far in an industry and very, very quick, and you want to dominate an industry, you find the person that's already in that industry that's dominating that industry, and you just form a partnership with that person, and that will skyrocket you right to the top of that industry. Okay, so this is some really, really cool things that you can actually do using joint ventures and strategic alliances. And also there's the other one. People always say, joint ventures allow you to make money out of thin air. Well, today I'm going to show you exactly how that's possible and how it's achievable by using joint venture partnerships. Okay, and also let's look at the benefits of being a joint venture broker. So this is something that I do, and I also, like I said, I train a team of joint venture brokers all around the world. And as a JV broker, I make lots of money by just simply being a middle person. Okay, I'm the conduit in between deals. One of the things I always say to people, and this one of the tips I'll give you is go where the money is. Right? Try to become the conduit between the flow of money. So if money is flowing from A to B, try to get in the middle. And I guarantee you, every time you do that, you will always make money, right? That's one of the things that I've always been taught from one of my mentors, and it's the thing that I always teach my students and my clients. Find where the money is flowing, and then just get into the middle of that equation, get into the middle, become the conduit for that flow of money, and I guarantee you, you will always make money. So I'll give you an example. Most of my brokers that I train, I certify, when we get involved with deals, I ask them to make sure that they're working with companies that are already making money. Working with startups is good, and a lot of people like to do that, but it's very difficult if they're not making money for you to make money. Okay, but as a broker or as a consultant, if you're working with a company that's making existing revenue and income, and there's a money flow going in there, it's very easy for you to get involved into that money flow, okay, and make money, because if the company's making money and you help them make more money, you're guaranteed to make money. So I always say to people, just be wary of who you work with client-wise. Make sure you're working with people who are actually making money. That's the easiest and quickest way for you to make money at the same time. Okay, also I don't need to spend years building a customer list or even creating my own products. My last business was 2008 was my last business. Yeah, 2008 was my last big enterprise corporate business where I had 50 employees and big shiny offices. Okay, since then I've been working and pretty much as a consultant and as a broker, because I go out and I leverage other people's businesses, other people's lists, other people's products, other people's resources and assets. So I don't really have to spend time building my own business. As long as someone else has a business that's doing well and wants to do even better, it's easy for me to always get involved and leverage someone else's asset or resources or the flow of money. All right, that's something that I've always done successfully. Also, I don't need to keep track of sales, chase people for money owed, or even fulfill products. I don't need to do that. The partners that I work with, the JV partners, for example, they do all that. So they get involved in all that. I don't do none of that. All I do is I'm a connector, I'm an introducer, and I'm a broker. I'm the person in between that equation that makes the deal happen, that makes the money flow, and when that money flows, I get my cut of that money. Right? So that's predominantly what I do. A lot of people ask me, what do you do as a joint venture expert? That's what I do. So I basically step in, I leverage other people's or businesses' resources, and I make huge profits by just bringing people or businesses together. So I hope that explains exactly what I do, because a lot of people ask me, so what is it exactly you do? Okay, so I want to talk more about my story. I want to give you a backstory to how I became known as a joint venture expert. I think it's quite an important story because it will prove to you that anything is possible. It will prove to you that you can go out there and make it big. But it also hopefully not only inspire you, but also give you a lot of lessons in terms of things that I did and mistakes I made. So for all of you guys on Clubhouse, you probably can't see the screen right now, but on the screen, there's a picture of me. And this is the famous 15-bedroom mansion that I always talk about. And this is one of my Ferrari collections. So I'm actually standing next to a shiny red Ferrari in front of a 15-bedroom mansion. So this is the house that I used to live in. 15-bedroom mansion, and this is one of the cars of my $1 million collection that I had, exotic cars. And this was 2006. I built a very successful 8-figure business using joint ventures. I was basically on top of the world, and that was basically the height of my success in terms of if you attribute success to materialistic, which is what I used to do when I was a lot younger, and I'll tell you more about how I've changed since then. That's me in 2006, and then obviously in 2008. Now you can see it's all blanked out because I lost everything. I went from multi-millionaire to totally broke. I ended up losing everything in 2008 in the last recession. And I always tell this story, and today I'm going to share with you exactly this story of how that happened. That was in 2008. I lost everything, totally broke, multi-millionaire to broke. And then this is me in 2009. I'm back again. I completed a 7-figure JV deal in just 30 days, and that basically helped me get back on my feet fairly quickly. So let me go back now and let's start from the beginning, and I'll tell you more about my background and how I became known as the joint venture expert and how I got into joint ventures. So my background, I originally trained as an accountant, as a CPA. I became a management consultant, and I was working in one of the top firms in the city. But while I spent my time there, I was always wondering what life was like outside of the 9-to-5 job. I always had this inkling that there must be something more to life than just working in this fancy office in the city. And one of the things I spent most of my time there, and as you can see in my bio says, I give first and ask later. It's always been a trait of mine to always help people, okay? And while I was working at this firm, I was helping other people use this new thing called the internet. So the internet was at its early stage. It was a new thing. So I was basically brushing up my skills and I was helping people use the internet. And what my supervisor saw me in action and said, wow, you're really good at this computer stuff. What made you get into accounting and becoming a consultant? I said, well, it's my family. My family, basically, in my culture, they want you to become one of a few things, either a lawyer, a accountant, a doctor, or an astronaut. So I said, I was like scared of heights, so I had to strike off the astronaut. So I was good at maths. I enjoyed that, and then this is the direction I went down. And then it really hit me when my supervisor said, "Look, you've got this skill. You're really good at helping people, and you're also really good at using these things, these computers." So I thought, okay. So I left this high-paying job in the city, and I decided to pursue my skill, which was using computers, right? So I did a master's in IT and international business, and my thesis was basically called "The Impact of the Internet on the Manufacturing Industry," because when the internet first came about, a lot of people were saying, "Wow, this thing is going to disrupt the manufacturing industry. It's basically going to make the manufacturing industry obsolete." So I wrote a thesis on that with my hypothesis, and little known to me, my professor posted my thesis online. Now, if you're as old as I am, you probably know that before Google or before search engines, we had things called bulletin boards, right? Before search engines ever existed. So my professor posted my thesis on a bulletin board, and basically I started getting a lot of inquiries from .com companies, venture capital firms, corporations asking me, look, what is this thing, this internet thing, and will it help our business? And can you come and talk to us about this internet thing? So there I was, straight out of finishing my master's, armed with my thesis, walking into these corporations, these .com, these VC companies, talking to them about this thing called the internet. And one of my first clients was a company that you probably all heard of. It's a company called QVC, QVC.com. And when they first started their e-commerce platform, I was one of the early consultants consulting on that. And one of the things that I did early on is I created a one-page website and that was a basic e-commerce website, and it was basically just selling PDF courses like Microsoft Works and Windows, and we attached a shopping cart to it, and it was just a one-page website, and we would basically put that up as a test, and it started making money from day one. Google was launched in '98, and we were ranked #1 in the search engine under online computer training. So a lot of people would go to the site, they would just hit the buy now button, and they would download this pack of PDF courses. So we were making money. The website was making a couple of $100s a day, and we were like, wow, this is really cool. So we started going to these companies, and we were basically, I was basically an internet marketing consultant. I was going into these companies, VCs, these .com companies, saying, look, we know how to make money online. We are experts at e-commerce. And it's funny now because e-commerce is big now, and we were doing it back in 98. 98. So this is quite amazing how it's all come around. So we were going into these companies, and we were basically the guys. We were the consultants, and it was me, and it was a friend of mine as well. I dragged him along with me, and we were going into companies doing consulting, and we were getting paid between 25k and 40 to 50k per project, right? And it was very lucrative. At that time, a lot of .com companies were throwing money at consultants, and it was like the age of gold. It was like we were shoveling gold basically. That was the internet.com gold rush. And then 2000 happened, and two instrumental things happened in 2000. One, we had the .com bubble burst, and number two, we had Y2K. So what happened was two things. First of all, we had the .com bubble burst, and when that happened, funding stopped. A lot of the .com companies we were working with, they went bust, so we didn't have access to those companies anymore. And number two, Y2K. Now what happened was, because we were computer consultants, people didn't want to work with us because we were to blame for Y2K. So early 2000, right, we had to make a decision. We said, look, we can't do this computer consulting, internet consulting stuff anymore. No one wants to work with us. What do we do? So this is an interesting point again right now where we are. Everyone's pivoting, right? So we had to pivot. So early 2000, I came across a book, and you might want to write this down. It's called How to Get Everything You Can Out of All You've Got. And it was by a guy called Jay Abraham, who's actually one of my mentors today. In the book, Jay says you can basically get another company to promote and market your product or service for free upfront, and you only pay them when they make sales. And I was like, wow, this is an interesting concept. So you're telling me I can form a partnership with someone, not pay them anything up front, not have any costs up front, and they would just go and market and promote my products or services, and I would just pay them on the guarantee that they make sales. So I was really fascinated by this concept, and I said, you know what, I'm going to try it out. So here's the thing, guys. Nowadays, I am the joint venture expert, and I'm well known around the world. So people say, oh yeah, but you're the joint venture expert. You can walk into any corporation, any boardroom, and people want to do business with you. But back then, nobody knew who I was. So what I was doing was this. I sent an email to a company, and I said, hey, if I could show you a way to create an additional revenue stream without increasing your overhead, would you be interested? And it was a company based in London, in the city, in Regent Street. They were the largest IT recruitment agency in Europe. My premise was this, right? The IT recruitment industry was going down, okay? No one was employing IT people. So I spotted an opportunity to offer them a complementary product and service, and that was my computer training products, right? My online computer training courses. So I got a meeting with this company. I sat down at the boardroom. There was a director sitting there, and they asked me, okay, Sahel, tell us this then. We're intrigued. How are you going to help us create an additional revenue stream, but without increasing our overheads? I said, well, it's simple. It's called a joint venture. So I explained to him, look, first of all, how many people do you have on your database? They said, we have 100,000 IT professionals. I said, great. And I said, right now, that's your only revenue stream, right? And that revenue stream is dried up because nobody's recruiting for IT because of Y2K, right? Or nobody wants to. Everyone's like really, really angry with you guys. And they said, well, look, we're looking at how we can resolve that. So I said, here's the thing. I can create an additional revenue stream for you. And by doing that, if you promote our computer training courses to your IT list of 100,000 IT professionals, and if they purchase the courses, we'll give you a cut for everyone they purchase, right? And then I asked them another thing, what current marketing are you doing? And they said, well, we have a newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks to our 100,000 list. I said, well, great. If you put a banner in your newsletter, send it out to them. We have an affiliate program. We will track everything on the back end. We'll send you all the statistics. We'll send you all the sales records, and then every month we'll cut you a check. And this was it. It was like there's no increase on your overhead, right? Because you're already sending a marketing piece out, so there's no increase in your overhead. But I'm helping you create an additional revenue stream. So they agreed to do this partnership with us, and it was fantastic. In the first year of our little computer training website, when we started it, we did about 50,000-60,000 in the first year because it was just a case study, right? In our second year of this first partnership with this IT recruitment company to their 100,000 list, our sales went up from $50,000 up to close to $350,000 just from this one partnership. And that was it. I was hooked. That's where I really got hooked on joint ventures. And again, just an update, if you guys are just joining us on Clubhouse, I'm running a live webinar online to my list. And at the same time, simultaneously, I'm streaming the audio into Clubhouse. So you guys are just going to be listening to my audio on Clubhouse. And so far, I hope you're enjoying the content of the training. So that was it. That was my first joint venture, and I got really hooked. So fast forward to 2002, the landscape changed. Now, I hope you're listening to what I'm saying, because there's a lot of nuggets you can pick up from this in terms of how you adapt in terms of market, and how you adapt in terms of what's happening in your market. So in 2002, we wanted to do more corporate business, right? We wanted to do more corporate contracts, and a lot of the corporations were buying video-based e-learning, right? And isn't it amazing again that we were doing video-based e-learning back in 2002, and now it's 2021, and e-learning is big again. So it's amazing how technology comes around and goes around. So at that time, we were trying to compete with our competitors who were doing video-based e-learning, where we were just selling PDF courses. So we looked at the cost, and it was astronomical. It would cost us $10,000 to create 1 hour of e-learning. And now remember, back then, it was very expensive to create e-learning. Nowadays, you just flip up your phone, record a video, upload it to YouTube, and boom, you've got a course. Okay, it was pretty phenomenal how technology has advanced. So back then it was so expensive. So we said, look, we can't afford to compete with our competitors, because it's going to cost us hundreds of thousands to create these 150 courses. So again, I went back to the book, Jay Abraham, and in the book, Jay Abraham mentioned in the book something called licensing. So he says you can go and acquire the rights to a proven and tested product or service from someone else, right? And basically, you don't have to start from scratch. You just basically get a license to something that's already proven and tested, and you'll make sales like that from day one. So I went abroad. I looked abroad. I found a company in Clearwater, Florida. They were a e-learning company. They had over 150 titles. And I contacted them and said, hey, look, we want to launch e-learning video courses in UK and Europe. We want to talk about a license. And they said, yeah, sure, we can do a license. It's going to cost you $100,000. And I was like, I don't really want to spend any money. I'm used to spending nothing to acquire business or acquire, customers. So I said, look, let's talk. So I jumped on a plane. I flew to Clearwater, Florida, to this company, e-learning company that was run by a female founder, very successful, multi-million-dollar company. And I sat in her office waiting for her to come out of the boardroom, out of her boardroom meeting. In the office, she had this beautiful walnut desk and she had this beautiful walnut bookcase. And I walked over to the walnut bookcase and I said, let me have a look and see what kind of books she reads. So I scanned through the books. I saw books by Joe Vitale. I saw books by Dan Kennedy. And then I saw a book by Jay Abraham. And I said, you know what? She's going to understand where I'm coming from when I start talking about joint ventures. So I sat down, she came in, we had a discussion, and we decided basically, we came to an agreement. I said, look, forget the $100,000. I'm going to make you much more money than that. But as a goodwill gesture, I'm going to give you a down payment of $10,000 and I just want the license and I want it branded in our name. And then I did the deal, flew back to the UK, and now we had over 150 e-learning video titles branded in our company name. And that year, we hit $1 million in sales on the back of that. And you know what that investment was for that $1 million sales? $10,000. See, that's the power of leverage. When you talk about leverage, that is leverage. It cost me $10,000 to acquire that resource. That resource made us $1 million. So again, leverage, right? And for me, it was like, cool, joint ventures, licensing, joint ventures, licensing. So now fast forward to 2006, where most of you guys, if you're watching the online webinar, you can see a picture of me standing in front of one of my Ferraris in front of my 15-bedroom mansion. So you guys can see that. Unfortunately, you guys on Clubhouse can't because we're just streaming the audio. But I'll make sure that we can organize something for you guys to actually see the replay of the actual online webinar also. So this is now 2006, where you can see me here, the handsome dude standing in front of this shiny red Ferrari in front of this 15-bedroom mansion. And I found a company in the UK that was a couple of $100 million dollars, a big computer group. They were basically a computer hardware manufacturer. And by then we were basically selling e-learning software. So we were a software-based company. They were hardware-based. Two differences. We were B2B, business to business. They were B2C, business to consumer. So what interested me in them is they had over 500,000 customers. So I thought, wow, this is going to be interesting. Just imagine if every customer who bought a PC from this company had our e-learning software installed on that PC, right? 500,000 customers, right? So I contacted them. I said, hey, if I can show you a way to create an additional revenue stream without increasing your overhead, would that be something you'd be interested in? They said yes. So again, I got a meeting with this company, very successful company. Went to their offices, very beautiful plush glass building, right up to the top. They had like a penthouse boardroom. It's like something out of Star Wars, and that scene in the Death Star at the end. So I sat down in this boardroom, and in comes the chairman and the CEO, father and son. They sit down at the end of the table, and I start my pitch. And now by then I've done this pitch 100 times, right? So I know exactly what I'm doing. So I'm like, blah, 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 blah. I've done this, I've done that. This is some of the deals that we've done. This is how successful we've been. So 15, 20 minutes into my pitch, the CEO gets up and says, hey, Sahel, that's fine. I think we heard enough. That's fine. And I was like, oh no, have I said something to upset them? I looked at myself. I thought, I've got this like really expensive suit on. I'm not dressed like a rag and bone man or anything like that. So I sat down and thought, you know what, they must be upset by something, and I must have said something, but I don't realize. So the CEO, the chairman, then gets up, his father, and says, look, Sahel, we're not interested in doing a joint venture with your company. We're actually interested in buying your company. And I was like, wow. We had an exit strategy down the road, and this was, to me, it was like, wow. And by then I had two more partners in the business. So for me, it was like, okay, what do we do? So I went back, I spoke to my partners. I said, look, what do you guys want to do? They're offering to buy us out, right? And my partners basically said, look, here's the thing. They're B2C, we're B2B. They have no experience with B2B. That's why they want to acquire us, because they want obviously access to our B2B customers, corporate customers. So we decided to stay on in the business, and we did a part cash, part equity. So basically, we sold a majority, an equity stake to them. Now remember, they'd been around for 25 years. There were a couple $100 million a group. They had other businesses that they were acquiring at the same time. Ours was just one of them. So this is now 2006. Now we sat on the board of a 9-figure business. We all became multimillionaires, and me, being the young dude I was back then, went out and did a splurge. I bought a 15-bedroom mansion. I bought $1 million worth of cars, right? Because when I was younger, I just wanted to be rich. That is all I wanted to be. So I've learned a lot from then. I've got a lot wiser now that I'm a lot older. So there I was, $1 million worth of cars, exotic cars, classic cars, 15-bedroom mansion, boom, okay, enjoying my spoils, yeah. And then that was 2006. And then 2007, I decided on an exit strategy. I said, look, I'm going to exit in 2008. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically just walk away, cash out my existing shares, and go and sit on a desert island somewhere and just think about what I want to do. So in 2007, I stepped down as managing director to work in the business, not to work on the business, not in the business, and we doubled our turnover. So now we had this super successful business, and remember, it was an e-learning software business. So our margins were like close to 90% margins. Our gross profit margins were absolutely obscene, and that was 2007. Then what happened in 2008 caught us all by surprise. So here's the story. A night before we had a boardroom meeting, the founders of the group decided to liquidate the company. Now, still to this day, I don't know what happened. We have no idea. Some of us think it was a tax, some of us think it was a fraud issue. But we came into the meeting in the morning, and the chairman and CEO said, hey, so how are you? I'm great. We've got an announcement. We're going to liquidate the business. We're going to liquidate the group. I was like, really? I said, well, if you liquidate the group, that means I lose my baby as well, right? They said, oh, don't worry, because what we're going to do is we're going to liquidate the group. We're going to set up a Phoenix company, and a Phoenix company basically is a company that's basically created just to shift the assets across. It's basically what they say, Phoenix, it rises from the ashes. So it's a bit of a dodge. That's what some people do. They dump one company, they transfer the assets across so they can carry on trading. For me, it was like, okay, that's what you're going to do. And they said, oh, don't worry about it. We're going to give you a much bigger stake in the business, in the new business. And I was like, look, here's the thing, dude. If you did that to me, why would I want to get into business with you again? Now, one of the fundamental things that was my biggest downfall, two things. One is I'd signed guarantees with the bank, which means I was liable, right, for debts. When the group went down, the millions in debt, who do you think the bank came after? The guy with the most assets, and that was me, the guy with the 15-bedroom mansion, the guy with the $1 million worth of cars on his drive. So, earlier on, and I've learned from that big mistake that I made. The bank came after me first. I was the guy with the most assets. They tried to force me into bankruptcy, and I negotiated with them, and I liquidated my assets, and I basically negotiated with the bank to get off my back. Now, here's the thing. For those of you guys who've just joined us on Clubhouse, we're doing a live webinar right now to my list, and we're doing a simultaneous audio broadcast to you guys on Clubhouse. So I hope you're enjoying the training so far. So that happened to me, and for me it was devastating. I ended up losing everything very, very quickly. So I went from multi-millionaire to totally broke. And listen, you see guys today with Lamborghinis and jets. We had a private jet. I had all the cars. I didn't have a Lamborghini. I had a Detmoso Pantera. I had all the Ferraris. I had all the classic Porsches. I was on my way to purchasing a restored Aston Martin DB5 when this happened, and it got all taken away from me. So everything got taken away. And the thing is, when you're living that kind of lifestyle, and then you have no cash flow, you're pretty much dead in the water. And you get into what I call survival mode, because you've still got people chasing you, right? And that's what happened to me. So I ended up moving back home to my mother's house. And I always joke about this. And the funny thing is, when I moved back home, my old bedroom was still the same as it was when I left. So my mom obviously had an intuition that one day I would come back home, her son would come back home. Now here's the thing. I was in a very depressive state. I wouldn't say I was suicidal, but I was contemplating how to escape, right? That was my big thing. How do I escape this mess? And when I came home, the biggest thing that really hit me, and it was like a dagger in the back or a knife in the heart, was all my friends who lived around my mum's place were now in their successful jobs, now had their families, now had their mortgages. And what they said to me was this. Every single one of them said to me, well, there you go. You should have stayed in your job. You had a very successful job, which you left to become an entrepreneur. You should have stayed in your job. So that for me was the biggest thing that really hit me, because I was like, dude, I mean, these are my friends that I grew up with, and you know, that's the only thing you can say to me to comfort me is like, you should have stayed in your job. So for me, it was like, okay, what do I do? Okay, I need to really figure this out. So one of the things I did, you know, a lot of people are noticing this more on Clubhouse. I'm a very spiritual person, so you know, my belief system is this: is that we live in a temporary world, and this world is temporary. Okay, which means that whatever you do in this world, whether you fail or succeed, it doesn't matter. What matters is what you leave behind and what difference you make in this world while you're here. Now, that hit me more after I lost everything, because it was always there, but only after I lost everything did it really hit hard. And that is nowadays, today, that is my mantra. That is the way I live my life. But obviously, back then, when this happened, I decided to go on a retreat. So I went to a monastery, because I thought, look, I need to be somewhere where no one would talk to me. I don't want to talk to anyone. I just don't want to talk to anyone. I want to be in a place where there's people. I can just sit there. I can think about what I need to do. So I went to a monastery. And obviously in monasteries, as you know, you can't talk because it's the silence, right? So I sat in this monastery, and one of the things I was taught in the monastery was how to control my thoughts. Because I was taught in that monastery that your thoughts control things. And I learnt the capacity to be able to live in my mind, which means that I could, and this is really going to sound strange, but if you if you went through what I went through, you have the ability to block out everything around you. So I would explain it like this: if there was a fireball around me and my feet were on fire, and I know this sounds really strange, I have the ability to be able to go into my mind and shut off everything that's happening around me. If the whole world implodes and it's like you look watching the movies, the world is ending, I had that ability to go into my mind and find peace. And that's something that I was taught at this monastery. So I came back from the monastery and I thought, okay, what do I do now? Okay, I'm really focused now. So look, I can do anything, right? And I thought, but what do I do first? So I sat down that day, and I remember my mum said to me, look, what are you going to do now? What do you want to do? I said to my mum, look, if I'm at the bottom of the floor, I can't go any lower. The only way I can go is up. So I've got to think about how I can go up, okay? Because I can't go any lower. I'm at the floor. So I thought to myself, look, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? So look, it hit me. Come on, dude, you created an 8-figure business from scratch using just joint ventures. I thought that's got to be it. If I can do some joint ventures, a couple of them, and my plan was basically in 2009, I actually manifested myself making $1 million in 12 months. So I basically set myself a challenge. I said, look, I'm going to do a couple of joint ventures. In 2009, I'm going to go out and do a couple of joint ventures, and I'm going to get back on my feet, and I'm going to make $1 million, and then I'll be okay. I'll be okay, right? But luckily for me, I managed to make $1.5 million in the space of 30 days with one joint venture deal. Now, for those of you guys who are on the live webinar, give me a yes in the chat box if you'd like me to tell you exactly and take you through step by step how I did that. So give me a yes or a yes in the chat box. I know you guys at Clubhouse can't do this because we haven't got that facility, but just give me a yes in the chat box if you want to hear exactly how I did that. Okay, cool, brilliant. We've got loads of yeses there. Okay, so here's what I did. Okay, and this is for everyone. Also, if you're listening to me on Clubhouse, this is you know, if you're taking notes, this is something that I always encourage everyone. So I'm going to talk more about the joint venture mindset later on, but when you vibrate at that level, and I'm talking about everyone's made from energy, right? You see more opportunities. The whole world opens up to you. So you have more of a 360-degree view, and you see more opportunities. So one of the things I was doing, I was reading a Sunday newspaper, and at the end of the newspaper, I'm a big fan of direct response marketing, so I'm always looking at these classified ads, trying to get ideas. I saw a one-page ad for a book. The book was basically how to use your PC in 2 hours, and it was for the baby boomer silver surfer market for the older people. I looked at the one-page ad, but what really struck me was at the bottom of the ad there was a box that said over 400,000 copies sold. So I was like, okay, they've got 400,000 customers that bought this book. Now remember, my background was in computer video training, right? Computer e-learning video training courses. So I said, okay, I spot an opportunity here. So I contacted the company. I said, hey, you know, I bought this book for my uncle and he's more visual. So do you guys have a video version of this book? They said no. I said, well, look, I have a video version of the book. What would you guys think if we could upsell that to your existing customers? Would you be interested in doing a joint venture partnership? And they said, look, this sounds good. Yeah, of course we'd be out. Can you send it to us? I said, well, look, what I want to do is I want to come down and talk to you guys personally, and I want to get more of an idea of what it is, how we can do this together. They said, fine. So I went over, saw this company, very successful, multi-million-dollar publishing company. I sat down, spoke to the managing director. He said, look, sounds great. I think if it is what I think it is, and if you're saying it is like the book and it's a video version of the book, then yes, I think definitely we can promote it to our existing customers as an upsell. I'd be interested. And he said, have you got it? I said, well, I was such a rush. I left the office, but what I'll do is I'll post it to you so you can review it. He goes, okay, look, we need to review it first. And if it is what it is, we'll definitely be up for it. So I walked away from this meeting thinking, oh shit, these guys really want to do a deal, but I don't have the product. I just came up with it like an idea. Now, here's a lesson for you guys, okay? Most people say, go and find a product. Even some of my brokers say, hey, I've got a product, let's go and find someone to promote it to you. But I always say, if you can find someone who has a distribution list or gives you access to their distribution, that's where the real money is. You know, if someone's giving me access to a 400,000 list and I do one deal with them and it makes money, I can do plenty of more deals. So the money is always in the distribution. Okay, and I always say that, you know, if you find a distribution and you can control a distribution channel, that's where you're going to make the millions, not necessarily from just finding one product and thinking where can I promote it. That's the mistake that people make. So I walked away thinking, oh man, now I've got to go and find this product. So I went over to Staples, Office World. I contacted these companies that created these DVDs. I said, look, you've got this computer training DVD. Is it possible for us to rebrand it or get a better discount? None of these companies would play my game. So I thought, you know what, that's not going to work for me. So I went online and I went online to a website, which is now actually called Upwork.com. And it's a place where you can go and find freelancers to create things for you. So I put a project up, said, look, guys, I've got this book. Here's the contents. Can someone create a screen cam course based on the contents of this book? So I got it made. It cost me $500. And the great thing was I owned the rights to it. So I got the DVD. I took it to the publishing company. They loved it because, you know, most corporate companies don't know what screen cam recordings are. You know, us marketers know exactly what it is and how it works. Most of them don't know. And he was like, wow. He goes, this is just like the book. This is so cool. And so I sat down with him and said, okay, look, let's talk numbers. Out of the 400,000 customers, how many of them do you think we can upsell this DVD version of the book to? And he said, well, at least 50%, at least half of them will buy it. So I wrote it down. I said, okay, good, 200,000 potential sales, right? Potential customers. Then I said, look, let's do this. What do you want to sell it for? He said, well, we want to sell it for like $19.95. I said, look, let's do this. You can sell it for $19.95, but just give me $7.50 for each one you sell, right? And what I'll do is I'll give you the DVD. I'll give you a license to duplicate it. You do the promotion, you do the distribution, you do the selling. Just give me $7.50 for each one you sell. Now, here's a tip. When you're doing a partnership, always give the other person more than you're getting, because what that does is that incentivizes that person to promote your product or service to their customers. So my cut was $7.50. They obviously made the lion's share. They were happy with that. So they did the promo. It went out to the existing 400,000 paid customers. Out of the 400,000 paid customers, 201,000 people bought the DVD at $19.95. My cut from that was $7.50. I walked away with $1.5 million from that one deal. Okay, and that's how I got back on my feet very, very quickly. And after that, that's how I became known as a joint venture expert. So whenever you hear me in a room do my intro, that is exactly how I lost it and how I made it back again and how I got back on my feet. So I hope you learned a lot of lessons from that. And a lot of people say to me, okay, so what other sort of deals have you been involved in? What other things have you done? So I'm going to take you through that. So that's more of what I call an offline deal, working with a bricks and mortar based company. It was a publishing company, but I've been involved in many other deals. So let me take you through that $1 million joint venture in 30 days first. And I'll tell you step by step exactly what I did for those of you also on Clubhouse. So I found a list of 400,000 buyers and contacted the company with a JV proposal without the actual product, right? So I just pitched the actual proposal, but I didn't have the product. So I created the product after I got a yes an agreement from them to for them to sell it to their customers. I ended up using, actually it was elance.com, which is now Upwork, to create a complementary product which cost me $500. I then introduced and licensed the product to the list owners, and my cut was $7.50 per unit without handling any fulfillment. They did all that. That was the license deal. And the total units sold was 201,462 units, and I collected just over $1.5 million as my commission on that, brokering that deal, right? And like I said, licensing is one of the most lucrative joint venture deals that I've ever been involved in, and licensing is the most lucrative joint venture deals that you can do, especially when it comes to things like IP licensing and building your IP. And I'm going to take you also through how I did that and sold another business for 8 figures just using my IP. So again, making a 7-figure launch happen, right? I was involved many years ago in a launch that 2 guys did, Chris Farrell and Mike Filsame. Chris Farrell basically approached me and said, hey, can you broker a deal for me? I want to work with Mike Filsame. We want to do a launch. So I connected him with Mike Filsame. This is a long time ago, right? When I was very much in the IM industry as a broker behind the gurus. So I was a broker behind this deal. They got together, they launched something called affiliate.com, which most of you, if you were back in the days, will probably remember. And we did just over $4 million on that launch, and I was a broker behind that. So I've been the broker behind the scenes of many of the big gurus in the IM industry, just to let people know that's something that I've done in the past. A lot of people know that because I was always the guy in the background. And also, again, doing joint ventures is very lucrative. I normally get paid between $30,000 and $50,000 a day for JV consulting when I work with corporations. Now, let me tell you how I got into that. And this is an interesting story. And this will hopefully help a lot of you guys who are trying to do some really high-ticket consulting in the space. Now, I got contacted from someone on, this is how it all started. I got contacted from someone on LinkedIn, and he said, hey, I've watched one of your videos on YouTube about joint ventures. Do you think this will work for our company? And I said, okay, what's the business? And remember, this is we're doing LinkedIn chat here. He says, well, we're an insurance company based in New York. We're spending at the moment 6 figures a month generating leads on PPC. The problem we have is it's getting more expensive and more competitive. Is there a way for us to use joint ventures to generate leads? Because one of the things that you mentioned was there is no acquisition cost up front. I said, sure there is. I said, I can show you a way that I can help you decrease your PPC costs and be more reliant on generating leads via joint venture partnerships. So he said, okay, that sounds great. He said to me, what do you have in terms of, do you have a program? I said, yeah. I said, I do a boot camp in Las Vegas. I do that 3 or 4 times a year. It's $15,000. And he said, okay, that sounds great. He said, I'd like 3 of my guys to possibly come over to your boot camp in Las Vegas. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And he goes, could you do me a deal? I said, well, look, what I'll do, I said, if it's 3 of you, I'll bring that cost down from $15,000 to $10,000 for each person, and let's say 30K. Then he says to me, okay, look, let's do this. He said, what if you came to us? What if I flew you to New York? And would you be able to do that here at the offices in New York? I was like, yeah, sure I can. He said, all right, sounds great. He goes, we normally put people up in the Mandarin Oriental in Central Park. We have a suite there. Is that okay? I was like, dude, of course it is. Of course it's okay. So he's given me all this stuff via LinkedIn chat, and he's the CEO of this insurance company, and he's like, okay, sounds great. He said, all I need from you is I need you to, number 1, send us an invoice. Number 2, I need your bank details for wire transfer, and we'll get that done. I'll get my guys to do that for you this week. So I said, that sounds great. So I sent him the invoice, said, okay, leave it with me. Let me know the funds should hit your account this week, and then we can start working out dates for you to come down. So I'm checking my bank account nearly every day because I'm like, really? I've never done this before, and this is way before Facebook chat, Messenger, right? Nowadays, most of us close big deals over just Messenger chat, right? Direct message. I was messaging someone on LinkedIn. This is many years ago, and he said to me he's going to send me $30,000 and transfer and blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, if it happens, it happens. So I'm checking my bank account, thinking, is this real, or someone's playing a prank on me? And then at the end of the week, bang, $30,000 hits my bank account, and he's like, He contacted me and said, "Are we all done?" I said, "Yeah, it's there." He goes, "Okay, let's organize it for you to come." And that was my first foray in doing joint venture consulting for a company, right? And that was $30,000 for that one day. And that had always then stuck as my benchmark for when I would go out and do consulting for Fortune 100 and 500 companies. I would charge $30,000 for a day or $50,000 for 2 days. And these were large corporations, hundreds of millions turnover. Even one I worked with, which was just over $1 billion. $30,000, $50,000 a day is a drop in the ocean for them. So that's basically how I got into charging that much for joint venture consulting, and that's one of the businesses that I sold in 2017 for 8 figures because of the Fortune corporate companies that I had. So that was my first foray into JV consulting. I just wanted to give you a backstory in terms of what is possible and how that actually happened. I didn't just pluck it out of my head and say, well, I'm going to go out there because I'm the joint venture expert and people are going to pay me 30,000. No, someone actually paid me 30,000. And that was my benchmark after that for a daily consulting fee. So again, doing joint ventures is very lucrative. You probably can't see this on your screen, but I was in Paris many years ago with my then fiance, and she asked me basically to to buy her a ring, but she saw a ring that she really liked, and it was like a 5-figure ring. And I said, look, I've got a deal that I'm about to close. If I close that deal, I promise I'll get it for you. And then obviously the deal closed, and I managed to buy this diamond ring in Paris. So these are some of the things that you can do, some of the really cool things that you can do with, especially if you're doing joint ventures and brokering deals. Again, another one, I launched a totally new business in Dubai many years ago, and which led me to not only create a business there, a brand new business, but also have the opportunity to live on the Palm. So I lived in Dubai many years ago. I didn't know the landscape at all. I didn't know the economy. I didn't know how the Middle East works. But again, I launched a brand new business in Dubai. It was a publishing company. It was via a joint venture strategic partnership. And what we did was we crowdsourced all the content from LinkedIn. We found writers and contributors who would contribute for free in turn for being featured in the magazine. Then we had sponsors, and we had advertising revenue from conference venues. It was basically just collaborations. That's all it was. And we built that business and we sold out to a competitor, because in that space we were competing with someone else that was bigger than us, and we just decided just to sell out to a competitor. So and like I say, that is also the power of joint venture partnerships. Very lucrative. And obviously it allows me to spend time with my family. I have 2 kids, a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, Harry and Anna, and it allows me to spend more time with them. That's one of the reasons why, again, in 2017, I sold my main JV consulting business for 8 figures to spend more time with my family, because I was a workaholic before then. But that business I sold was me. It was my IP. Basically, I licensed my IP to one of the largest sales training companies in North America. They became a 50-50 partner, and the partnership was so lucrative that they decided they wanted more than 50% of the pie. They wanted 100%. Now, they made me an offer a couple of years before that, and I said, look, put another 0 at the end and I'll think about it. And then a couple of years later, they put a 0 at the end, and the timing was right, and I basically cashed out and I sold out that business. And then I retired in 2017, got bored, came back out of retirement in 2019, and just here to basically give back, because I'm so passionate about joint ventures. I'm so passionate about this strategy. That is something that I think is something that I'll just continue doing and giving back. So there you go. So that's my backstory. So most of you guys hopefully know now exactly where I've come from and where I am right now. So let's get on with some training. First of all, let's talk about the joint venture mindset. So one of the things that I've developed over the years, and one of the things I help a lot of my students, my clients develop, is something called the joint venture mindset. So I always say, if you don't have the right success mindset, then you're destined to fail. One of the things that we do a lot of is visualization. Okay, so visualization is the best means of manifesting the specific successful outcome. However, here's the thing. Manifesting and visualization work really well, but without action, they don't work. So if you're going to manifest, if you're going to visualize, if you got these what do you call these boards, these visual boards, or whatever they're called, vision boards, make sure that you're implementing, taking one action every day towards that. or else it's never going to happen. That's the biggest thing that where people fall down, is they don't take the action. And if you want to attract the energy of opportunity and success, then you should use affirmations. Now, I normally do this when I'm on stage, and it's really cool when you have thousands of people get up in the room and say this, but you guys can repeat this after me. I know a lot of you guys can't actually talk right now, but you're welcome to just repeat a couple of affirmations for you. First of all, repeat after me. I am the right person in the right place at the right time, doing the right things with the right people. And then another affirmation we use quite a lot is I am aware of and open to unlimited joint venture opportunities. I'm involved in the best high-level joint venture opportunities. Now, again, affirmations work, but you've got to make sure you put them into action. And, always see yourself adding value to others also, which is very, very important. Okay, so let's go into some training. I'm going to share with you 7 ways you can double your business or scale your business using JVs. Now, are you ready? Give me a yes in the chat box, comment box, if you're ready to hear my 7 ways to double or scale your business using JVs. So give me a yes in the chat box. And guys, thank you very much for your comments so far. Some of you actually are on Clubhouse at the same time you're on my webinar, which is quite cool. So this is a very cool experiment that's actually worked. Okay, so here we go. First of all, number 1, online JVs, right? This is the most common form of joint ventures. So basically, what is an online JV? It's basically you find someone with a complementary product or a newsletter, and you contact them to promote your product or bundle it with their own. It's basically you promote to my list, I promote to your list. And it's basically a thing that a lot of people do. It's basically online based. And this can be done through emailing each other's lists or via a link on a newsletter or website. A very simple way to get started with joint ventures, but not the only way. I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to share with you some really, really cool JV tactics and strategies that no one talks about. So this is what everyone talks about. Hey, promote to my list or promote to yours. Let's do a JV. It goes beyond that, way beyond that. Okay, so number 2, licensing. Again, this is what I was talking about, right? Licensing. You can make money instantly by buying or owning the rights to those things that are proven. Why? Because it's already been tested, you don't need to spend time and energy to prove that it would actually sell because it's already selling. That's the beauty of licensing, right? And you can also charge people a royalty fee for the rights to your products and services and make money hands-free. So if you have something of value, if you're always try and build IP, guys. A lot of us don't have these big corporations. A lot of us, we work for ourselves. We are consultants or we are, coaches. Build your own IP, own your own IP. That's where the biggest value is going to be for you. And it's one of the quickest ways to also make millions. Number 3, distribution, right? Again, you find a distributor that has an existing sales channel, and then once you've got an agreement to use that channel, you go and find a good quality targeted product. And you can do that again and again and again and again. And all you do is you take a cut on every single sale that's made on both sides. This is a distribution deal where it's really, really well. Another thing you can also do is you can negotiate exclusivity if that product owner doesn't have a digital product or doesn't have some sort of affiliate program in place. You can help them create that, and then you can do a 50-50 split and make money on the back of that. So there's some really cool things you can do without having to actually go out and create your own products or services or sell your own thing. Find someone who's selling something successfully and help them leverage or scale that and just take a cut every time you make a sale. Okay, I've always said to my clients and to everyone, control the distribution and you control the money. Okay, so let's look at the next one, product creation. Again, you can approach people with great products and you can offer to transcribe them or digitize them, right? You can even license them. So this is a really great thing you can do, and you can ask for a percentage of sales on that or go out and find JV partners for them. You can create 6 figures with this strategy very, very easily. Next one, upselling, right? Like I've done. You go and show other companies how they can upsell other products or services to increase the average unit of purchase. I'm going to share with you what I believe is the biggest opportunity right now in the world. Right? Are you ready for this? A lot of companies are going bust because they can't make new sales. A lot of them aren't selling to their existing customers. They have existing customers who have loyalty, who have spent money with them, but a lot of these companies are too busy chasing new customers, spending money on lead gen, but they're not looking at existing customers who have already given them all those millions. There's a big opportunity right now to approach companies and say, hey, let me show you how to make more money from your existing customers. All I ask is, if you make more money, I'd like a cut of that. Okay, so that's one of the biggest opportunities because of what's happening with the pandemic, right? These companies are going bust. They've got databases, they have customers. Let's show them how they can make more money from their existing customers by providing them with other products or services, because those customers are going elsewhere to buy things. They're not buying your product anymore because your product is obsolete in the market. Nobody wants your product. But guess what? Those customers are still going somewhere else to buy other things. Why aren't you providing them with other products or services? Because they have a loyalty with you. Why aren't you doing that? And they're just not doing that. So this is one of the biggest opportunities, and let's just keep that between ourselves, right, guys? Let's not share that too much. So basically do that, and I guarantee you, if you can get into doing that, every single business that is in that situation, there's an opportunity to work with so many businesses. And because they were already making money at one time, there's already a cash flow, and people are comfortable spending money, they'll buy again. This is the biggest opportunity I see right now. Okay, so here's a cool one: reactivating inactive buyers, right? So there's something called customer attrition, and this is the amount of customers that businesses lose every year. It's usually around 20%, because businesses are so busy looking for new customers, they lose existing customers and they don't even know it. So something that you can also do is you can get together with other businesses and you can offer complementary products or services to reactivate dormant customers for companies, such as gyms, for example, when they do reopen, obviously, but anything that's sort of membership based. This works really, really well because, like I've told you before, remember, it costs 6 times as much to acquire new customers. So instead of acquiring new customers, why don't we help them reactivate existing customers or bring their existing customers back, right? So this is another opportunity out there. Okay, so this is the biggest one, unconverted leads. Listen to this, guys. This is a game changer, right? Company A gets 5,000 leads a month. They only convert 15% of them. You're probably thinking, that's pretty good conversion rate. But what do they do with the other 4,250 unconverted leads that they're paid for, right? Here's what you do. You approach them and say, hey, let's say, for example, and I'll give you a classic example. We used to sell online computer training. A lot of people used to approach us and say, hey, have you got a classroom-based training? And we said, no, we only do online. So I went to our competitors in the space and said, hey, you don't do online, you do classroom-based. You must have some leads for people that were asking for online training, but you don't do that. Why don't we do a deal? Why don't we give us access to those unconverted leads and we can promote our courses to them and we'll do a 50-50 split. The great thing with that is because they've already paid for those leads, they can't convert them. So what are they going to do? They're going to chuck those leads away, right? But it's easier for you to do that because you're not approaching their customers. These are just unconverted leads. Imagine how many people are spending money on Facebook ads and they're happy. One of my friends, Tanner, I think he spends a couple of $1,000,000, a couple of $100,000 a month, or even $1 million a month on Facebook ads. But he's not converting all of them. He's happy making what he makes, but then he's not converting the rest of them. You could approach him and say, hey, all those leads you have of people that were interested in your product, I think they're finding your product too expensive. What if we sold them our product, which is similar to yours, but much cheaper? Could we do that? Of course you could, because those leads, he couldn't convert them, so they're not really good for him, are they? So this is another really cool thing you can do with unconverted leads. I mean, it's amazing what you could do. There's so much abundance in this, and there's so many companies spending money on lead generation that you could do deals with them. This is an amazing opportunity right now, especially with people spending money. So guys, that's all my 7 super strategies on how to use joint ventures and licensing. Like I say, it's something that you've probably never heard of other people speak about, but there's a lot of things that we teach I teach to my consultants, my brokers, and my clients, and we go really in depth on that. So I promised you that I'd talk more about a little bit about how I learned about how to network right at a high level, and I'm going to tell you a story. And you guys on the webinar could probably see this. A good friend of mine called Yannick Silva invited me to one of his events many years ago called his Underground event. And while I was there, I was invited as a VIP. I walked into the conference area and I told people before I went to the event on social media that, hey, I'm going to be at this event. If you want help doing creating some JVs, give me a shout, and I'll be able to help you for free. So I walk into the event, and then a lot of these, I get a lot of people queue up on my right hand side, and they're just shoving products in my face, saying, hey, can you help us? Can you help us? So they're basically saying, I want, right? And then someone comes and taps me on my left-hand side and says, Sahel, I'm the affiliate manager for Ryan Dice. Great to meet you. I know you're very busy. I don't want to disturb you. Is it possible for us to sit down downstairs and have lunch? I'd love to buy you lunch. And he walks off. And I was like, sounds cool. Someone just offered to buy me lunch. Another guy comes up and says, hey, I'm a JV manager for Nitro Marketing. I've heard a lot about you. I really want to connect with you. I know you're very busy. Can I buy you lunch? I said, well, someone's already bought me lunch. He said, oh, I'll buy you dinner. So later on that day, I sat down with one guy, and because he paid for my lunch, he had my attention. So we spent an hour and a half, and he had my attention, right, 1-to-1. Which obviously, if I was charging, a consulting fee, it would be much more than lunch. But here's the thing: it's called the Law of Reciprocity, and there's a great book by Robert Cialdini called The Psychology of Influence. Definitely go and get that book. And what Robert Cialdini says is, as human beings, when someone does something for us, we always like to return the favor. It's called the Law of Reciprocity. So what I found was, because these guys, they did something for me. One paid for my lunch, one paid for my dinner. They had my undivided attention. I wanted to help them and serve them and give something back. So at the same event, I met a guy called Roger. And Roger approached me and said, hey, look, I've been wanting to catch up with you. I know you're the JV guy. I need your help. I'm doing a mastermind in Tampa. I've got some really cool people. Can you come and facilitate and do some JVs? I was supposed to fly back to London the next day. And my head was saying, get on the plane. My gut was saying, go with this dude. So that night I canceled my flight. I jumped on a plane, flew to Tampa, got to Tampa, limo picked me up from the airport, took me to this hotel, the Hilton. Roger was there. Roger said, come in, Sahel. I walked into this room. In the room was Dan Kennedy, Brian Tracy, J. Conrad Levinson. These were guys who were like the titans of direct response and marketing. And there was little old me there from London sitting in the middle of these guys. And Roger says to me, hey, we're doing a mastermind at the mansion. Let's go. We're going to spend a couple of days there. I'd love you to be my guest. And I was like, dude, sounds great. So we hopped in the limo. We drove to this 45,000 square foot mansion in Avila in Tampa, home of the Winner's Circle Mastermind. Now, the mansion was owned by a billionaire, and his name was Paul. Little known to me, Paul is actually the father of a guy called Dan Bilzerian, who obviously, if most of you have heard of him, is a crazy dude on social media. But this was Dan's father, Paul. So we get to this mansion, and one of the things about the mastermind event is you get to sit down in a room with a billionaire. So this billionaire comes in, all these multimillionaires, right? They're all sitting around the table. And he sits down and he tells them the story about how he became successful, how he became a multimillionaire. And then he starts by saying, look, thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope I inspired you. Good luck with what you guys are doing. So he gets up at the end of the table. All these multimillionaires walk over to his right-hand side and they're shaking his hand and they're giving him their business cards. Here's my business card. Here's my business card. Me, I walk over to his left-hand side, tap him on the shoulder and say, Paul, I know you're very busy right now. I know a lot of people want to talk to you, but is it possible for us to sit down and probably have breakfast tomorrow morning? He calls over his assistant and says, hey, book the breakfast for me and Sahel for the morning, and I walk out the room. Now, Paul is standing there. He's taking the business cards and he's putting them down on the table behind him. I go back to the boardroom in the evening. Guess what's still sitting in the back of the room on the table? Everyone's business cards. So this guy is more of a philanthropist, right? And he likes to talk about philanthropy, about life, about family. He's not too much into talking about business or about deals or whatever. So that morning, I had 2 hours with this guy. We sat down. And he's got a lake behind the house, beautiful lake, and we sat there. It was serene. We talked about life, we talked about family, we talked about all sorts of really crazy stuff. And I became good friends with this guy, that whenever he would say to me, if I ever catch you when you come to Tampa in a hotel, I will not be happy, because you will be staying here. Every time you come to Tampa, you let me know, and you are always welcome, and you are always welcome as a guest in my house, which is obviously 45,000 square foot mansion. So I learned a lot from that. You know, I learned how to really connect and how to really, you know, basically give first, you know, like the law of reciprocity, right? So here you can see, guys, I'm sorry you guys can't see this, but here's the mansion, the 40,000 square foot Avila mansion. Here's the front door. Here's the place where we sat down to have breakfast by the lake. And yes, there is a full-size basketball court in the mansion, right? This is the real power of joint ventures. Now, let me tell you a story. I know if a lot of you know, I wrote a book with J. Conrad Levinson before he passed away. He was one of my mentors. He's the guy who invented guerrilla marketing. And this is for those of you watching the webinar, here's a picture of Jay and his wife, lovely wife Jeannie. Here's a picture of me there, and here's a picture of the book we wrote together. This was the last book written by J. Conrad Levinson before he passed away. I was one of the last people to interview him before he passed away. How did this happen? Let me tell you another story. I was on the Winner's Circle Mastermind cruise, and on that cruise they had two guests. They had Michael Gerber and they had J. Conrad Levinson. Michael Gerber was a proper diva. He had an entourage. He would come in, talk, and disappear. Impossible to get near him. Whereas Jay, he would just sit down with everyone and they would share stories, and he was an amazing guy. He would talk about the old advertising industry of the 60s and 70s back in New York, right? I think if you watched Mad Men, it's basically where, you know, how he learned a lot of his marketing, copywriting, and advertising. So he would sit there and talk, and the thing is, he had a lot of fans as well. So he had a lot of raving fans, and I didn't want to be seen as a groupie. So I saw him one day alone in the lobby of the cruise. I walked up to him and said, Jay, I know you're very busy right now, and I don't really want to disturb you, but is it possible for us to sit down sometime and probably have a coffee and have a chat? I'd love to just sit down and talk to you. He said, look, sounds great. He said, I'd love that. In the evening, there's a VIP area in the dinner hall that we're not allowed to go around because Jay's there with his family, and obviously Michael's there as well. I walk past and Jay calls my name. He says, Sahel, come over here. And I was like, really? So I walk over and he introduces me to his family. He says, dude, come and sit with us. Come and have dinner with us. So I sat with him. We had dinner. He was telling us some amazing stories. And he said, so what are you working on right now? I said to him, look, I'm trying to get this book done. I said, I spoke to Jay Abraham. I think Jay Abraham at that time was writing another book, so it wasn't possible for him. And Jay Conrad said to me, I'd be interested. He goes, why don't you send me across the transcript and let me have a look at it. I sent it to him and he said to me, dude, let's do this together. Let's do it as guerrilla marketing and joint ventures. I'll do the guerrilla marketing stuff, you do the joint venture stuff, and that's what we did. So we did this book together, and the book was written, I think, in 2014 we finished the book, and in 2014, just after the book was finished, Jay passed away. It took me a year to convince his family to publish it because it was the last book that Jay wrote. And we finally got it published. You know, I reached out to people, Kevin Harrington, Brian Tracy. We had some amazing people endorse the book. And for me, I've made millions of dollars on the back of this book. And it's such an amazing book on the topic of joint ventures. So basically, that's the story of how I managed to do this book with J. Conrad Levinson. So I've got a couple of testimonials to share with you guys of some of the stuff that I've done. Markel Blount, one of my most successful students, he says, Sahel's $1 million JV training is where the journey with joint venture started. Since then, I've closed a $3 million joint venture deal thanks to Sahel. And you can see the actual case study. It's actually online. A friend of mine, she's a CPA, says, I've always been a pretty good business expert, but Sahel's $1 million JV training blew me away. Since working with Sahel, I went from 20K a month to 100K a month using joint ventures. And you can see that case study online also. So here's my question to you guys on the webinar. Would you like access to all my joint venture courses worth $15,500 for free? Now, give me a yes in the chat box if you'd like access to all my joint venture courses worth $15,000, $15,500 for free. Just give me a yes if you like access to all my joint venture training online courses. Okay, great. A lot of you saying yes. Brilliant. So here's the thing. Here's what you get. Okay, this is the full list of my online joint venture training courses, and I don't normally promote this everywhere else. I got something called my joint venture introducer. This shows you how to basically make money doing joint venture introductions for clients. I've got my standard business joint ventures for business program worth $3,000. You get that. I got my partnering for profits, which is more of a high level partnering program. I've got something called my B2B appointment formula, how to use LinkedIn to get appointments and how to close using LinkedIn. And obviously LinkedIn Introducer is another program, how to use LinkedIn as a platform to do outreach and close JV deals. And also my Joint Venture University, which is a 12-week program, which people paid $5,000 for, which teaches you everything about every single type of JV that you can think of and do. So those are all my online training programs that I'm giving to you for free. So this is a special webinar offer only. Now here's how you can get all 6 of my joint venture training courses worth $15,500 for free. And that's simply by joining my online JV mastermind. So $15,500 worth of training courses you will get for free by joining my online JV mastermind. Now, what is my online JV mastermind? So here's what's in my JV mastermind. You get 2 mastermind mentoring calls a month. You get all my joint venture contracts, agreements, and templates worth $10,000. You get my joint venture business audit, which you can sell as a standalone item for $5,000. I give you all the scripts, the templates, the tools of not how to go and do audits, but how to sell business audits to corporates. You get access to my joint venture brokering team or my consultants. You get access to my joint venture databases and get an opportunity to partner with me also, and also ongoing joint venture training. Now, here's the thing. Just today, this is strictly limited to 20 places only because I don't want to sell so much of this. I'm more after a quality than quantity, and I keep my joint venture mastermind very small because of the things that you get. So if you join my online JV mastermind today, you can get it for half price, and you get access to all my joint venture online training courses worth $15,000 for free. So here's the deal. 12-month access to my online joint venture mastermind is normally $997, but for today only, it's $497. And for that, you get access to everything you've seen in the mastermind, all the mastermind mentoring calls, all the access to all the tools and templates, agreements, and also you get access to all my online joint venture courses worth $15,500. For today only, it's a half price deal. Instead of paying $997 for 12 months access, you just pay $497. So here's the thing. Here's the next step for you guys on the webinar. If you're serious, ask yourself this. What is it costing you to stay where you are? Is it costing you more than $497? So ask yourself that question to get to where you need to get. So if you're interested in becoming a member of my online joint venture mastermind and getting that half price offer, go to the link below now, jointventuremastermind.com/HP to secure your spot immediately, because they will go quick. I have only limited places. So right now, if you're interested in that deal, go to jointventuremastermind.com/H for Harry, P for Peter. So jointventuremastermind.com/HP. Okay, so let's have a couple of questions now then. I'll open it up for Q&A for you guys on the webinar. Let's open up, and if you've got any questions, please put your questions in the chat box right now. We'll do a quick Q&A. I've got literally 10 minutes. I've got to jump onto another big room. We've got a room coming up called Seaspiracy, which is based on the #1 Netflix series right now, and that room will be started in 10 minutes. So we'll be moving over to that room in 10 minutes. Guys, everyone on the Clubhouse room, thank you very much for joining today. This masterclass. We will do another Q&A especially for you guys, so keep a lookout for that, and I appreciate you guys. I'm going to carry on with the webinar with some Q&A, and I'll speak to you guys in Clubhouse again soon. Thank you very much, guys. Take care. Okay, so let's have a Q&A, guys. Anyone have any questions for me? If not, go over to jointventuremastermind.com/HP if you want that offer. Tracy says, what do you do when you buy a license for a product or service, but you still need to find an audience of buyers? Come to me, reach out to me, send me a message, and I'll show you how to do that. Otherwise, if you join the Joint Venture Mastermind, we can do that on the mastermind, on the mentoring calls. So I've got access to all the buyers list. I've got access to databases. So if you ever find yourself in that situation where you've got a licensed product or service, definitely do reach out to me. It's something that I would definitely be interested in. So guys, if you're interested in that offer, please go to jointventuremastermind.com/HP. It's basically half price of my mastermind. It's normally $997. you get it just for $4.97, and they will go quick. So if any of you guys are interested in that, give me a yes in the chat box. If you're interested in the Joint Venture Mastermind offer, just show me a yes. Give me a yes in the chat box. If you're interested in that offer, go over to jointventuremastermind.com/HP. Okay, brilliant. Yes, a few of you there. Brilliant. Okay, cool. Okay, brilliant. So that's brilliant. So Trevor, yes, thanks for that. We'll get you all set up. Peter has signed up. Excellent. That's really good. Who else have we got there? We got Christopher. That's good. Thank you very much, Christopher. I appreciate that. Okay, guys. So if you're interested in that, please go over to jointventuremastermind.com/HP to grab that offer. We only have 20 places and they will go very, very quickly. And guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's training webinar. And like I said, if you have any questions for me, please put it in the chat box. We've got another 5 minutes till I have to jump into another room. A lot of you guys are still on the call. I hope you enjoyed the training and hope you can apply it also. And like I say, guys, I really appreciate you. How much one-on-one time with you will? Okay, yeah, we can organize that. In the mastermind group, there is one-on-one time. So if you do sign up to the mastermind, we do have that option, and I'm happy to do that option for you as well. So we have group mentoring calls, but we do have a one-to-one time in there as well. And if you sign up today to the Joint Venture Mastermind.com/HP, and just make sure you send me a copy of your receipt, I'm happy to give you a one-to-one session as well if you want it. So only if you sign up today though. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you're welcome to do that. So thanks for that. All right, guys, I think that's it. If we've got any questions, please put your question in the chat box. Otherwise, we will be closing up the webinar. And like I say again, go over to jointventuremastermind.com/HP. And yeah, and like I said, those of you guys who have registered will get a copy of the replay as well. So, and if you're watching the replay, please go straight to that website, jointventuremastermind.com/HP, just to make sure and you see if we haven't sold out. If you go there and it says sold out, send me a message and I'll see what I can do for you the next time it opens up. So that's great, guys. Ryan says, have you found any JVs in Clubhouse? All the time. I do the pitch room on Clubhouse every Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 a.m. EST. We get between 20 and 40 JV deals per pitch room. And those deals, guys, I'm posting that in my mastermind group. So if you want access to joint venture deals also, go ahead and sign up to the jointventuremastermind.com/HP to also get access to those deals. I only share them in the mastermind group. So again, guys, if you want access to me and all my training and all my programs, go over to jointventuremastermind.com/HP. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the training, and I look forward to it. Jack says, I want to use your broken strategy to do deals. Many of the companies that I would like to approach already have business development. What is the best way to initiate a deal with them? Come onto my training. I do a broker program as well, broker coaching. So reach out to me, Jack, if you're interested, and I can do that. Robert says, can you keep the offer open for 24 hours so I can sleep on it? There's no sleep, Robert. There is no sleep. If it's gone, it's gone. You're welcome to sleep. If you come back tomorrow and it's still there, then jump on it. You're welcome to do that. So just go over there and have a look what you're getting and just try and figure it out. But like I say, I'm happy to give you some one-to-one time also if you sign up to that the jointventuremastermind.com/HP. Like I say, I won't be sending out the replay until tomorrow. So hopefully if you sleep tonight, there may be some spots available tomorrow, but they normally do go quite quickly. So do come back to the site. If it's still there, then grab it. If not, then I'll update you and I'll let you know on the next batch of openings that we have. Guys, that's it. My time is up. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And like I say, please go to jointventuremastermind.com/HP. Make sure you grab that offer because that offer is an amazing offer. If you go and look on the website, what you get is pretty phenomenal. And you're getting 50% off, basically half price for something that people have paid $15,000 for. Is there any way to pay via EFT, thanks, rather than CC? It's PayPal, so if you go there, there's a way that you can pay. If you have any problems, just send me an email. Email me across and I'll see how I can help you on that. But yeah, if you want to sign up and you're looking to sign up today, just ping me an email. If you have any problems signing up online, then we'll get that registration done for you offline, not a problem at all. All right, guys, thank you very much. I appreciate you again. Go to jointventuremastermind.com/HP, and I look forward to welcoming you, all of you, new people, into the Joint Venture Mastermind. Take care. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.